What's going on, guys? We're back live talking about what I do and how to never get hungry, eating once a day, eating OMAD as they call it. Technically, as a preface, I gotta say I don't really eat one meal a day. I eat once a day at night, but it's not really fair to say it's one meal because it's not like a plate of food. On most days, I polish off three, four meals within a short time frame. Like yesterday, for instance, I had 4,000 calories within 2 hours. That stuff is easy for me. Just to preface this. It's not like strict OMAD. However, for the past 2.5 years, almost 3 years now, I've been doing this successfully. And obviously, I got my fingers burnt every now and then. So I changed my program over these last 2.5, 3 years to optimize my performance throughout the day, optimize my energy levels, performance in the gym, strength levels, durability, and just to have something, to have a routine that I really enjoy to do. Bottom line, I don't do this. OMAD for me, or this fasting regimen that I follow, is not a religion for me. I do it because it delivers the results that I want. It gives me what I'm after. It gives me the looks, the performance. It gives me the lifestyle that I'm after, if you get what I'm saying. So this is huge for me. But I've adapted, I've changed my routine over these last 3 years to give me the best results. And what I want to share with you today are a couple steps, actually 4 steps in particular, that I want to mention today to never get hungry on OMAD. Because truth be told, fellas, I am rarely hungry throughout the days. So I usually wake up at 6 in the morning. I don't eat till 6 in the evening, usually. 9 out of 10 days, that is my routine. Occasionally, and we'll get to that, I might have a little piece of fruit. I might have some juice occasionally if I feel like I'm low in energy. But we're gonna cover 4 strategies today to help you do this as a lifestyle, to help you stick to this fasting routine, fasting regimen long term, because it's worth it, fellas. It works amazingly well. If you know what you're doing, if you're doing it correctly, it works amazingly well. And here's the number 1 tip I'll give you. The first step, the most important strategy to not get hungry on OMAD is to make sure you're eating enough food. Fasting and starvation are not the same. It's fine to starve yourself on occasion. It's fine to go on like a low calorie diet, minimal calorie diet. It's fine to do some prolonged fasting here and there, strategically, to get you closer to your goals. It's not okay to do that every day. And when I first started with a similar setup of OMAD dieting when I was in my mid-20s, I made this mistake where I would not eat enough. I was chronically underfed. I would eat around 2,000 to 2,500 calories on most days while pursuing a very active lifestyle. Even back then, I was doing Muay Thai 5 to 6 days a week, and I would strength train on top of that. So with that high activity, I did not replenish my energy requirements at the end of the day. I would fast all day or do like a warrior diet setup where back then I would actually eat a little bit more throughout the day. I would allow myself like 400 or 500 calories throughout the day, and then I would have my big meal at night. So it was the warrior diet that I followed back then, but it was very similar to what I do today. Even though I rarely eat throughout the day nowadays, I still have some fruit, like I said, every now and then. But nowadays, I do not restrict myself at dinner time anymore. I eat liberally, I eat what I want, I eat how much I want, and this is key. This is key. This is what allows me to follow a restrictive diet, a restrictive nutritional setup long term. I've been doing it, like I said, for close to 3 years. There's no end in sight for me. I love this. This works better than anything else I've tried, and it's not even close. But make sure you're eating enough. Make sure you're not chronically restricting yourself. Short-term restriction, short-term fat loss pursuit, great, awesome, do it. Long-term, like months, without ever breaking out of the deficit, not a good idea. And some of you, I'm sure, don't count calories, have no idea of how much food they're consuming. For those fellas in particular, it can be dangerous to undershoot calories habitually because you have no idea of how much you need and how much you're taking in. So it's a guessing game for you. Then there's the other type of guy who's out there tracking everything, weighing all the foods he eats, weighing everything, measuring everything, but always trying to lose fat, always trying to get leaner, and thus always undershooting calories, always being in a calorie deficit. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. Calorie deficit, like I mentioned hundreds of times in my life trainings, short-term intervention. Calorie restriction cannot be a lifestyle. Energy deficit cannot be a lifestyle. Certainly not if you want to live this life well. Number two, the second step, and this one's important. This is something that I found out pretty much as soon as I started with this OMAD, intermittent fasting lifestyle. And that is, you have to increase your fat content at your meals. Meaning, you need to eat a good amount of fat with your meals if you want to have long-lasting energy and performance the next day. I'm not talking about your evening. I'm talking about the next day. Today's dinner is tomorrow's performance. And carbohydrates, although very important, and I eat a ton of carbohydrates as well, are not a good long-lasting fuel, whereas fats are a long-lasting fuel, and that's what you need to get you through the next day performing at optimum. So increase the fat content in your meals. Instead of eating chicken breast and rice, have some fattier cuts of meat, of poultry, have some dairy, have some nuts and seeds, have some olive oil, have some butter. I eat a ton of butter. Have good, high quality fat sources, saturated fats, animal fats, and some plant fats, monounsaturated plant fats preferably. So nuts and seeds, nut butters, olive oil, all that good stuff. You want to increase the fat content in your diet. Personally, my fat content, the amount of fats that I eat, are anywhere between 40% to 50% of my calories, meaning half of my calories on some days is fats. And this is key. This works tremendously well to keep you operating very well at a very high level the next day. And carbs are not going to do that. Carbs, and I've tried, brothers. I've experimented with this a long time. I've been eating upwards of 500-600 grams of carbohydrates a day in order to optimize my performance the next day. Never worked. If anything, it made me crash the next morning. So high carb with inadequate amounts of fat did not work. Not on this diet, and not for me personally. Maybe there's people out there who can do OMAD with like a lower fat approach. Not me, brothers, not me. It works terribly for me to restrict my fat intake. So I eat fatty beef, I eat lots of eggs, I eat cheese, I drink milk. Like I said, olive oil and butter I use liberally on my foods. And I also don't mind some good high quality chocolate. So that's how I get my fats in, and I recommend, if you're gonna experiment with something like this, eat fats liberally. Fat don't make you fat. Fats don't make you fat. What makes you fat is a chronic excess of calories. So that was step number 2, increase the amount of fats in your diet. Step number 3, strategy number 3 is do not be religious about your fasting schedule. You don't have to do a strict water fast every day to make this lifestyle work for you. Occasionally, it's perfectly fine. It's actually beneficial to have some fruit throughout the day. Yesterday, I had some strawberries throughout the day. Loved it. Loved it. Fresh strawberries, game changer. I love having a green apple here and there during my fasting period. I love having some homemade high sugar lemonade that I make myself sometimes before my workouts or even during my workouts throughout the day. So it's not a strict water fast. Many days it is. Most days I would say I do a strict water fast until my dinner meal comes around, but I do not force that on myself. I do not force that on my body. In fact, when I feel like I need a little pick me up, I need a little bit of sugar in my brain to fuel myself or to sustain my performance, I eat some fruit. No problem whatsoever. And I recommend you do the same. This is not about being on a clean, strict fast every single day. This is a lifestyle, brothers and sisters. And if you always employ maximum restriction on yourself, it's not going to work long term. And you're not going to be having a good time doing it. Believe me, occasionally somebody's baking something, cooking something throughout the day and asking me if I want to try. Do you think I want to be the anal bastard that always says no to a cookie here and there, to whatever somebody cooked up? I might have a little bit. Just try it. Just nibble on it. Because I'm not religious about this fasting schedule. I don't care. If I eat 200 calories throughout the day, that's not going to make or break my results. So I'm not anal about it. And I recommend you loosen up a little bit. You loosen up and you don't make this your religion. Remember, guys, our nutrition, our diets are tools to get us the desired outcome that we want. So your diet could be a tool for you to lose fat and build muscle. My diet, for me personally, is to keep me lean, keep me performing at a high level. Nothing comes close to OMAD in that regard for me personally. And to give me joy. I eat this way because it gives me a lot more joy and pleasure than a regular 3 square meal a day approach. It's not even close, brothers. The pleasure you get from eating after not eating all day is unmatched. It's unlike anything you'll ever experience on a regular eat every couple of hours type of diet. So that's why I like to do it. It's one of the reasons I enjoy doing it. It has me looking the way that I want. It has me performing and feeling the way that I want. And it gives me the liberty that I want. It helps me live my life the way that I want to live it. But again, it's not my religion. It's not my God. I use it as a tool, and that's it. And when this tool stops serving me, I will replace it with a different tool. You get what I'm saying? It's not about following OMAD. It's not about being one meal for the rest of your days. Being on one meal a day for the rest of your days. That's not what it's about at all. It's about finding something that delivers the results that you're after. Whether that's aesthetic, whether that's a performance result that you want, whether that's a health and longevity benefit that you're after. Your diet should be able to support all those things. And it should be able to do that in a rewarding, in a fun way. And that is OMAD to me. So don't be anal about the fasting schedule. Have some strawberries, have an apple here and there if you really feel hungry or low energy. For me, most of the time is when I'm very active throughout the day physically, but also mentally. When I do a lot of work early in the day, I feel my brain running out of fuel earlier. So sometimes at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I might need like a quick pick-me-up, i.e. a piece of fruit just to fire up my brain again. It's not like I don't have energy anymore, but I feel like I can think better, I can speak better, I can perform better mentally when I have a little bit of sugar in my brain. So, number four, and this one's a big one as well. The fourth step to never get hungry on OMAD is to stay busy. Is to not sit around waiting on your meal. Guys, that defeats the whole purpose of this lifestyle, of this nutritional program. Don't wait around being like, oh man, I'm so hungry. Man, another 3 hours to go, another 5 hours to go. What's the point? Eat something and shut up about it. Stay busy if you want this to work. This is why OMAD works so well for me, because I have a lot on my hands. Here at the foundation, this is the work that I love to do. This is as gay as it might sound, this is a passion project. I love doing what we're doing here with the kids of the foundation. Best job I've ever had. It doesn't pay, best job I've ever had. And then I also have a bunch of clients in my coaching program. I also have to provide the maximum service for them. Always. Why? Because that's my standard. And then I also provide free content for you guys. I provide content on my Instagram, on YouTube, on my blog. I write email newsletters. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. I'm not complaining. This is a luxury. I am blessed. God has blessed me with this work and with this opportunity to make money doing what I love and doing what I'm great at. This is a blessing. Don't get me wrong. There's no complaints coming from me. However, that it's very time consuming. So I'm not going to be cooking meals, eating meals, and washing dishes all day. I don't have the time for that. And that's also what makes OMAD such a good lifestyle for me, such an effective, such an efficient work lifestyle for me, with my work, with my training schedule, with the responsibilities I have here at the foundation. It just works tremendously well. If, however, you just sit around and have nothing to do, man, OMAD will be a nightmare for you. You gotta stay busy. You gotta do something. Whether that's physical activity, whether that's mental output, stay busy. Otherwise, the hunger will creep up on you, and it's going to be more and more difficult to follow this lifestyle, and it's not going to be worth it. Truth be told, if you're just sitting around all day, or if you're just sitting around at the office and you're not really busy, you're just, clocking in and clocking out, then this lifestyle will be difficult for you. I love OMAD. I love fasting all day and then refueling at night because it helps me produce more, give more, be more during my active hours of the day, while also giving me full compensation and relaxation at night. So I'm not just like this Energizer bunny who never takes a step back, takes a breather, and relaxes, but I do that at the right time. For me, at night, after I have my work and my workouts successfully completed, that's when I sit down to have a good meal with good company. This is huge. And I get to relax. Enjoy the fruits of my labor. Okay, this is the good life I speak of. This, to me, is the good life. Being able to produce good quality, high quality work at a very high level every single day, while then at the latter half of the day, or the final part of the day, you get to compensate, you get to relax, you get to chill a little, and you get to be around the people that you want to be around. This is as good as it gets for me. This is as good as it gets. And this lifestyle, this nutritional intervention, if you will, has helped me tremendously. It has made my life better. It has made my life better. Not just because my abs are now crisper than they've ever been. Or not just because I can play soccer for 2 hours in the afternoon on an empty stomach without batting an eye, and I can crush competition that's 20, 15, 10 years younger than I am. This is the good life I speak of. And OMAD has revolutionized the game for me. So those were 4 strategies that, I encourage you to try. Believe me, they will make a big difference. So just to recap, number 1 is to eat enough to not chronically restrict your calories. Number 2 is to increase the fat content in your diet, to eat more fatty meats and fatty plant foods, nuts and seeds, olive oil, that kind of stuff. Number 3 is to not be anal about your fasting schedule. If you do get hungry throughout the day, have some fruit. God forbid, have a protein shake if that's what you're into. Have a little something to hold you over. Low calorie, minimal calories is what I would recommend, but don't be super anal about it. When your mommy's cooking or baking a nice cheesecake, don't be too anal. Don't be too close-minded to tell your lovely mother that you can't have a small piece or you can't have a bite because you're fasting. That is so weak. You gotta rise above that. You gotta rise above the point where your diet controls you, where your workouts control you. You should be in charge, always. I am in charge, always. So use those tools to your benefit. Do not let them control you. Do not let those tools run your life. Whether that's your diet, whether that's training, whether that's a different part, a different area in your life that's taking over. You should be in charge at all times. So if you're hungry throughout the day, eat something. Eat something. And also, I forgot to mention this. This can be very helpful for a lot of you. You should drink a lot of water throughout the days, but also you can add a pinch of salt. Rock salt, sea salt, whatever the case may be. You can add a pinch of salt to your water. This will also help curb your appetite. That's true. And give your body better hydration. Hydrate your body better than just plain old water. Okay, so add a little bit of salt to taste. Your water shouldn't taste like sea salt. Add a small pinch of salt to your water. It actually adds a nice flavor to it as well, and it will curb your hunger and have you performing better. And then lastly, the 4th step, the 4th strategy to never get hungry on OMAD is to stay busy, is to have a life, is to create a life, a daily routine that you enjoy. And that automatically will take care of these mental games that you have with yourself, where you're always preoccupied with your next meal. What am I gonna eat next? Macros, how do I get enough protein? All that stuff is irrelevant to me. I think about food when I sit down to eat, or maybe like 15 to 20 minutes before I start eating, I might start thinking about my meal that day. Because my diet, my meals, food does not control my life. I don't live to eat. I eat to live. And that doesn't mean I don't enjoy my meals. I'm a foodie, believe me. I love to eat. And I love to eat a lot. But there's a time and place for that. And the rest of the day, I gotta focus on much more important stuff. And I gotta get things done. So preparing food, cooking food, eating food, and washing dishes cannot be part of my day-to-day routine. I don't want it to be part of my day-to-day routine, bottom line. So guys, I hope this was helpful. I gotta go work out. Also, let me see, there were some messages coming in. Let me check. So, TY says, found your channel some days ago and your training philosophy is amazing. I appreciate that, brother. So what's your typical meal look like after this long fast? Like I said on previous live trainings, no foods are off. No foods are off limits. So I allow myself to eat everything. Whatever I crave that day, I will eat. So can be, you know, some eggs, cheese, some bread, very few vegetables. Like lately I've been really slacking on my vegetable games. They don't do much for me. So I never felt like a big benefit from eating a lot of vegetables. And I've tried in the past, thinking that I'm doing myself a favor eating a lot of vegetables. Not lately, to be honest with you, and I don't feel a negative impact at all. So that is that. So, you know, lots of eggs, lots of dairy, lots of carbs, as in starches, rice. I love rice. I'll eat bread liberally. And then, you know, I'll eat that. Maybe if somebody's cooking here at the foundation, I'll eat that as well. So that could be fish, that could be meat, that could be whatever. When I'm cooking for myself, I never cook meats. I never cook chicken. I never cook beef. I never cook fish, because that's too time consuming for me. If I cook for myself, it's eggs, cheese, and some bread. So I don't feel like spending more than 10 minutes a day of cooking. So that's why I also like to eat out a lot. I like to order food. I like to have other people prepare my food for me. I just don't feel like that's a good investment. That's a good time investment for me personally. And it's not something that I enjoy doing. But I will eat whatever there's around in the house, or I will go out to eat. I'll have some desserts. I just make sure to eat enough. That's the bottom line. So I have a couple days here and there where I eat less, where I consciously restrict calories and try to eat a little bit less, because it keeps me fresh. It keeps my digestion running as best as it can. But on most days, we're talking 5-6 days a week, I'm eating a ton of food. And then I don't really care about the semantics. I just need to make sure I get in enough calories that day, because I know I'm going to need those calories. I'm going to require that energy the next day. So yeah, the calorie amount, the total energy intake is my number one priority when it comes to designing my meals. And again, no foods are off limits. I eat meats, I eat plants, I eat carbs, I eat fats, I eat ice cream, I eat peanut butter cups, I eat everything. Nothing is off limits. So Victor says, same, those were my best days cognitively, and then I ate like a king at dinner. Instead of listening to my body, I fall for the opinions of your biggest meal should be at morning. Brother, I made the same mistake. Like I told you guys, I started eating like this in my mid-20s, and then over the years, because I made some mistakes with my diet, I let other people's opinion, I let their opinion and their fear mongering get to me at some point. And I was like, yeah, maybe this is not the best thing for me. And I do feel weak, and I do feel tired, and I do feel cold all the time. And this is because, like I told you previously, I was eating too little habitually. I was chronically restricting my calories, not consciously. So I wasn't trying to restrict them necessarily, but I didn't allow myself to just eat to my heart's content every day. And this is what I stress in these videos, and in my coaching program. I stress the importance of eating to your heart's content on most days, unless you're a fat pig. But for most people who have maybe their last 10 pounds of fat to lose, even for those people, I recommend you eat liberally. You eat liberally on most days, and then you cut calories hard to get ripped. So he also says, it was intuitive for me. I was way more productive at, in those years, while everyone said the opposite. Yeah, it's the number one productivity hack is not eating. The number one productivity hack is to go long hours without food, because that triggers a stress response in the body to go and hunt for food that like mobilizes energy, makes you more sharp cognitively, physically. It brings you in this survival state that is, it's an amazing place to be at. Honestly, it's just fun. It just works. It works so well. So the body, obviously, after hours of not eating, wants you to go out and hunt for food. That's why you feel energized. That's why you feel ready to kill. I feel like that all day. And I wouldn't want to give this up for any other diet, for any other program, for anybody else. So people can say what they want. People can say what they want. Nobody can argue with results. If you looked the part and you performed the part, you'll shut them up. You'll shut them up, no problem. You'll shut them up automatically. So this friend of ours says, you also just feel more energetic when not having your stomach full of food to digest. Yeah, I mean, it's simple biology, brothers. The digestive process is energy costly. It needs energy and blood supply to digest food. That's not a bad thing. But that means if you're having big meals throughout the days, I'm just gonna close the door here because it gets so loud. If you're gonna have big meals throughout the days, obviously that's gonna slow you down. That's gonna make you tired. That's gonna fatigue you prematurely, and it's going to require you like this rebound time for 2 to 3 hours after a big meal. You're going to be zoned out. You're going to be good for nothing. I know this for a fact. This has been my experience for all my life. So yeah, it makes sense. And then you can actually benefit from this downtime, from this rebound effect at night, when you're supposed to calm down, when you're supposed to rest and digest. So this works amazingly well. So here we have Fabian, my man Fabian. He says, I gained 3 to 4 kilograms in the last weeks, and I do not stress anymore if I am below my maintenance calories on some days, following your approach of having high and low calorie days. Thank you, sir, he says. My man, awesome. That is awesome. At 76 kilograms. So he says he wants to gain another 4 kilos. From there, it's getting shredded while maintaining muscle mass. I love it. I love it. Yeah, that's it. I mean, I say the same thing to people who want to gain weight and the people who want to lose weight. Never eat the same amount of food, the same amount of calories day in, day out. That doesn't make any sense biologically, to eat the same amount every day. And your body will let you know. So for instance, if you're trying to lose fat and get ripped, I don't recommend a daily deficit. I did that for many years. It was a big mistake. Never going back to that. I recommend short, hardcore deficits. And then eating to satisfaction on most days. Yes, even when you're trying to get ripped. And it's the same with trying to gain weight. I recommend you eat as much as you want, as much as you can, without force feeding on most days. And then your body at some point will be tired of eating and digesting that much. And then you can have like 1 or 2, maybe even 3 lower calorie days throughout the week. And then you go back into high calorie eating to build more size and to gain the weight that you want, you know? So it works both ways, whether we're talking fat loss or muscle gaining. Eating the same amount of calories day in, day out makes no sense. And even though it works, obviously it would work. Excuse me. If you're in a surplus, you're gonna gain weight. If you're in a deficit, you're gonna lose weight. However, However, there's more efficient ways to doing it and more beneficial ways. So you can gain leaner if you throw in a couple low calorie days on a bulk, and you can maintain more muscle mass if you don't chronically restrict calories on a diet. And this is something that most people underestimate, how much muscle mass they're going to lose during a diet. Even if you're working out. Even if you're working out, it's so hard after a point of body fat, and this varies from individual to individual, but after a certain level of body fat, after you get to a certain level of leanness, it is so important to keep losing fat while maintaining muscle. It's so difficult. It's hard. And the leaner you are, the more unlikely it is that you're gonna lose pure body fat. You're gonna lose a mixture of body fat and muscle. And avoiding that or working against that as best as you can is one of the most important things during a diet. You have to learn how to lose fat, how to coax your body into losing body fat, and how to maximize muscle retention, because that's the only way where after a fat loss diet you're gonna look good, you're gonna look crisp, you're gonna look hard. Otherwise, you're gonna end up looking skinny fat. You're gonna end up looking deflated, weak, like an overcooked noodle. And you want to avoid that at all costs. All right, guys, I'm gonna check if there's some more questions here. No further questions, so that was it for today's training. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you guys for tuning in. I see. All right, one more question that just came in. Do you think common protein intake recommendations of 2 grams per kilograms of body weight and more are too high? Is there a need to eat that much? So 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, that's right around 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight for my American fellas out there. That is high. That is as high as anyone needs to go. Higher is never necessary, in my opinion. And I have many days where I eat a lot less protein than that. So my protein intake varies from, I would say, from 100 grams a day to 180 grams, depending on my calorie intake that day and what I feel like having. So I'm not really strict about my protein intake. And, some days it's more, some days it's less. For most people, I recommend get a good amount of protein in, but you don't have to be at a pound a pound of protein. You don't have to be at a gram of protein per pound or at 2 grams per kilogram. That's a safe bet, but it's also unnecessarily high in my experience. And don't get me wrong, like my diet is so liberal. My diet is so freestyle, if you will, because I've done all the work leading up to this point. I've done many years where I tracked my calories meticulously, where I ate clean meticulously, where I did all the things experts told me to do. And believe me, the results that I get today with this fasting regimen, I mean, much better than I ever had when I was eating clean. I was eating 4 meals a day, 5 meals a day, making sure to get 160 grams of protein every day. Like nowadays, I don't stress if I'm at 100 grams of protein a couple days back to back. Guess what happens after doing that for a couple days? My body urges me to eat more protein. And guess what I do? I happily oblige. At this point, I can just work with my body. My body tells me, give me more fat, give me more carbs today, give me more protein. And that's what I do. And those cravings dictate what I'll have that night. So easy money at this point. Easy money. Do you have any good recipes or dishes that help you stay full on those low calorie days? No, brother. If anything, I would, on those low calorie days, I would also go lower carb, because carbs are not as satiating as proteins and fats. So if you want to cut down on calories hard, I would recommend you focus on protein and fats over carbs. But then again, don't be on a keto diet. That's not what I'm saying. I mean, strategically lower your carbs, because carbs are the macronutrient that will spike hunger, that will make you hungrier, and that will satiate you the least out of all macronutrients. But in terms of recipes, whatever you want to eat, following those guidelines I just gave you. All right, guys, like I said, I need to go train. I need to go play some soccer later this afternoon. We're done here. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll talk soon.